Okay, so here I am with my Bible. It's a duct tape Bible. And I'm going to be reading from the book of Job because I think it's an appropriate book to be reading during this time of pandemic and talking about the Antichrist and Satan and all this stuff in the Bible. So, in the land of Uz, there lived a man whose name was Job. Everyone needs a job. Job. This man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he owned 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels. I guess maybe the sons were sheep and his daughters were camel toes. 500 yoke of oxen and 500 donkeys. And had a large number of servants, probably slaves. He was the greatest man among all the people of the East. His sons used to take turns holding feasts in their homes, because they were probably considered rich. And they would invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. When a period of feasting had run its course, Job would send and have them purified, because he doesn't know what they're doing. Early in the morning, he would sacrifice a burnt offering for each of them, thinking, "Perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." This was Job's regular custom. Well, perhaps they had sinned and did other things too. Carousers. Carousing, geez, that's not biblical. You don't carouse. You don't feast. You don't eat and drink. That's naughty. That's bad. One day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them, because he's allowed to go to heaven and talk to God in heaven. God's kind of like a judge, and he holds court. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From roaming the earth and going back and forth in it." He probably didn't sound like that. He probably just said, "From roaming the earth and going back and forth in it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." Why even point him out to him? So Satan, like a lawyer, would do this. "Does Job fear God for nothing?" Satan replied, "Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. But stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well then. Everything he has is in your hands, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. So we got the Lord, which is different than God. God and the Lord sound like they're 2 different things, because Job feared God, but it was the Lord who gave Satan permission to screw with Job's life. One day when Job's sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine, right there, that's a no-no. No, you don't want to drink wine. They were drinking wine at the oldest brother's house. A messenger came to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing and the donkeys were grazing nearby, and the Sabeans attacked and carried them off. They put the servants to the sword, and I am the only one left to tell you." While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, "The fire of God fell from the sky and burned up the sheep and the servants. I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties and swept down on your camels and carried them off. They put the servants to the sword, and I am the only one left to tell you." Does this sound like a Little House on the Prairie episode? While he was still speaking, yet another messenger came and said, Your sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, when suddenly a mighty wind swept in from the desert and struck the four corners of the house. It collapsed on them, and they are all dead. And I am the only one left to tell you." At this, Job got up and tore his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground in worship and said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. But from what I understand, God's the one that created Job and Satan and the Lord. So if God's the one that created the whole story and there's some wrongdoings in the story given by permission by God, then who do you blame? Mom? Where was the mom in this story? It's interesting. Not even mentioned. No, not even a mention. At least so far. She comes in later. Anyways, so that's chapter 1. I'll take a little break and do a chapter 2.